Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to take the first call to oppose this bill on behalf of the government, the Crown Minerals Prohibition on Coal Mining Amendment Bill. And on behalf of the nation. I do apologise. I couldn't possibly speak for you. I couldn't possibly speak for the members over to my left here. No, I do apologise. Look, so it's interesting, you know. I recently attended the AGM of a little group in Kirikiri called Our Kirikiri, right? And we got to the point of general discussion and so forth, and the questions started to flow. And so what do you think the main question and concern was from the people in that room? There's probably about 50 people there. Now, you'd thought, and being in Northland, you'd have thought, so is it all about the roads? Because, boy, we've got some rubbish roads up there. And is it going to be about the dusty roads and all that stuff? Would that be their number one concern? Would it be? No, it wasn't. Would it be about the education system and the challenges we've had in the education system? Would it be about that? No, it wasn't. Would it be about the challenges of law and order and personal safety? No, it wasn't. I'll tell you what it was about. Their biggest concern was about power prices, right? It was about the price of their power, the size of their power bill. And so they then proceeded to have debates about it, and I sat there and listened carefully to what they had to say about any concerns about the price of power. And then they all said, well, you're our Member of Parliament. What can you do about it? What do you think about our challenges in this space? And so I stood up and I said, well, I think you just need to remember a couple of things. I said, it's about the reason that we had such high power prices is because the previous government cancelled oil and gas, which they cancelled. They put an oil and gas ban on the table and destroyed the confidence in that sector overnight. The price of wholesale power bill went up by doubled. The wholesale power price doubled overnight, right? That's what happened. The truth is clearly hurting some on the other side of the house, clearly hurting people. And so where do we end up? And so one of the reasons we didn't end up with, and they had this big plan. They said to stop oil and gas and coal and all that stuff. They're going to get rid of it all, and to come to a place where we have all renewable energy. Well, actually, that's what we all love, is renewable energy. That's great. But you need to transition. This is the problem. They came out with a big announcement and had no plan. There was no plan. So consequently, suddenly, we became the only country in New Zealand and the world, that is, instead of transitioning to renewables, we're going away from gas to coal. And what impact does that have on climate change? Right? Look at it. It's obviously a trigger word. Coal is clearly a trigger word. Gee, they're really excited on the other side of the house, aren't they? Because we're in this situation because it was a typical sort of spur of the moment, irresponsible announcement, which led to a situation where suddenly the confidence went and power prices went up. And why'd they go up? Because suddenly we had to start bringing in coal to cope with the fact that we had a shortage of energy. A shortage of energy at crucial times in the winter. Because guess what? It didn't rain. Unfortunately, it didn't rain, the wind didn't blow, and the sunshine hours were shorter in the middle of winter. And that is what happened. So the power price went up. And so what were the consequences of those power prices going up? Well, why don't you go and ask some of the people in the central North Island of New Zealand that saw the mills close, the timber mills and all that closed, and the jobs disappear. Rural, small town, regional communities destroyed. Why? Because people on that side of the house did think they had this idealistic view of the world, that you could fix the world by ignoring the fact you actually need energy at an affordable price. And there we go. There they go. They're going again. They're quite excited tonight, aren't they? Quite excited. Go and ask the people of Nelson, who've recently been through similar experiences. 2 or 3 big businesses have laid off staff and reduced. Why? Price of energy. Once again. This is what you get from people who have this idealistic approach without a plan. Well, guess what? We have a plan, and unfortunately, because of what the last lot did, it does involve using some coal. Now, wouldn't it be better, and gas, yes, thank you, Minister, and wouldn't it be better if we were to use coal that we had in our own country, rather than importing it? Because that's what we're doing. Indonesian coal. Here it comes by the shipload into this country, and here we go. And we happen to burn that while we try and transition, while we build more solar, while we put up more wind farms, like we're doing Northland. We're doing a lot of that in Northland, which is absolutely fantastic, right? We're looking, so that's why we do that. We've got to burn coal. So why don't we just burn our own? This bill will stop us. According to this bill, it will stop us doing that. And that would be that would actually be worse for the climate. There we go, they're all worried about climate change, and yes, so are we, but we're more sensible about it. We actually have a plan. We have a plan, and we're pragmatic. That's exactly right, Minister. And that's what we have to focus on. We have to focus on delivering in this space, right? Because if we don't have a plan, then you plan to fail. And the last lot, well, they certainly plan to fail. We all saw that. And so we have a huge pile of coal there that we're importing from Indonesia. What a complete waste of our own resources, right? So we are saying to the rest of the world, look, here we go. We won't dig up our own land and use our own coal in the meantime. No. We'll bring it from overseas and let someone else dig it up. We've got better opportunities in this country. Look, do that properly than some of the countries we might import from. And I think it's really, really important to remember that. So what are the other implications of this policy, right? Yes, there's also the job aspect. Why don't we make sure we give our own people in this country jobs working at the moment while we have to transition, while we transition to renewables, which is where we all want to be? Why don't we actually use our own people and develop our own, expand the mines we've got in New Zealand to actually use that coal and employ our own people so our own communities benefit from it in the meantime, right? While we do the big transition, because it's the idealistic nonsense you get from people on the other side who don't understand without the implications of making these sorts of decisions. Okay, so in summary, this bill really is. It really is a typical idealistic, simplistic approach to a complex problem. All it will do is help drive up power prices, make the climate worse. It won't reduce our impact on emissions in this country. It'll make it worse because the coal's got to be imported. And so therefore, why don't we at least do it in New Zealand, where that means it's closer to us, therefore we have less emissions getting it here to use. Ultimately, do we in the end want to use coal? Of course we don't. So what we will do is we will eventually use gas, because that will make a big difference if we use gas. We've got off the coast of Taranaki. Won't it be great, David McCallum from New Plymouth, if for the local people employed in your region who actually want to work and find the gas so we can then get rid of the coal? Wouldn't that be a good thing? You'd think the people on the side would be thinking, let's go and find the gas, because guess what? It's a much better option than actually using burning coal. So, boy, we've got them excited. It's like a trigger word on the outside of the house. It's like a real trigger word. But look, in all seriousness, if we're going to transition, let's do it properly. Let's plan. Let's build renewables, because that's what we can do in this country, and we'll do a damn good job of it. I do not commend this bill to the House.
I mean, what does Grant McCallum sit there and think? We're going to sit there and burn West Coast coal in
he wants coal from the
power plant?
He wants coal from the Waikato. He wants to expand mining up there. But look, here's the thing, right? We had a plan. I can't speak on Labour's. I can't speak for Labour, but I know the Greens. The plan was to get solar panels on people's roofs. Was to do community-based power programs and also, and help people transition over to low-energy forms, of technology. Getting solar panels on people's roofs would have helped a lot, and the technology is already there.
Given the green light to be built near Greytown.
Not to mention, you got Grant up there go, what about the gas drilling off of Taranaki? It's like, look, you scared away a bunch of investors who wanted to do a windmill farm off the shore of Taranaki. Have we forgotten about that? You've scared away, Hyundai, from having those wonderful ships. That was part of Labour's plan to lower.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure who did worse. What do you call it? The Trump administration shafting Hyundai in Georgia, or Project IREX by Nicola Willis?
Yeah, that would have been a great way to reduce our emissions, considering that a lot of our emissions actually come from transport.
And actually, funny enough, going by Grant McCallum's idea of shipping coal from the west coast to Huntly, you might have to put it on the ferry. The quickest way to sit there and get it by rail.
Yep. Clearly we're getting enough sun. If people want to invest in solar farms in New Zealand, right? We're getting enough sun. We just need a place to store the energy, and we need wind, and we need hydro. And why are the hydro dams so low in water? It's because of climate change. We've been in a fucking drought.
Yeah.
How's burning more coal going to help with that?
It's not. It's not.
It's going to make the problem worse.
I mean, you know, put it this way: if they went to burn the coal from the West Coast and Huntly, it wouldn't work anyway because the power plant ain't designed for it.
No, they can't burn that. So we're exporting most of our high valuable coal anyway. So
Yeah.
you know, he's out here going, oh, it will make jobs. And like, jobs where?
Yeah, at what, Littleton Port?
Yeah, jobs where? The port doesn't work properly. The port's not big enough for the ships. Like, port where? And also, you know, it's like, well, there's just so much to unpick here. I couldn't, you know, I'm still kind of intoxicated, so I couldn't write down everything. But it's just, he's out here going, oh, we need a sensible transition. Yeah, Labour had one. You know, that hydro dam project was pretty cool. Why did you cancel it? The battery down the South Island, that was pretty dope.
Yeah.
Also, you know, companies like Fonterra are moving away from coal. They've just, you know, why is the prices of energy going up? Well, it's because the private companies want to make a profit. That's why. It's very simple.
Yes, and what happens when you got a natural monopoly?
Yeah, we got a monopoly of power production. You sold off the shares to Meridian and all sorts of other publicly owned companies. You know, it's like, what was it now? Meridian Energy had half of its shares sold off.
Yeah.
It used to be 100% publicly owned, but, you know, National sold that off. So, you know, profits have to be made for the shareholders. So
yeah, not good for the community.
Yeah, not great for the community. So, yeah, I don't know what Grant's going on about. I'm intoxicated. He's not. Why the fuck do I make more sense than he?
So,
thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, News Guide, The Order, Paper Podcast.